November 23, 1944, 0600 hours, 3rd Army Headquarters, Nancy, France. Major General George S. Patton, Jr. stood over a tactical map showing German positions across Lorraine when his quartermaster, Colonel Walter J. Muller, delivered what most commanders would consider insane timing. "Sir, we're ready to serve Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. 250,000 men, hot turkey, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie. But we'll need 2 hours. Complete operational halt across the entire army." Standard doctrine said you don't stop an advancing army for a meal. German forces were retreating but still dangerous. Intelligence indicated Wehrmacht units regrouping east of Nancy. Every hour mattered. Patton had other plans. "Do it," he said. "Every man gets Thanksgiving. I don't care if we're in contact with the enemy. 2 hours. Make it happen." In the next 48 hours, that decision would create the strangest intelligence crisis in German military history. Colonel Walter J. Muller wasn't a combat officer. Before the war, he'd managed meatpacking operations in Chicago stockyards. Third Army's rapid advance across France had created logistics challenges that made civilian operations look simple. Third Army comprised 12 divisions spread across 75 miles of front. 600 tanks required fuel. 300 artillery batteries needed ammunition. But Patton had been absolutely clear since August. His soldiers would eat better than any army in history. "Beans and bullets win battles," Patton had told his staff in September. "But morale wins wars, and morale starts with hot food." Third Army records show they'd served hot meals 94% of days since landing in France. No other Allied army matched that statistic. British Second Army averaged 67%. First Army managed 71%. Patton's obsession with supply created the most well-fed combat force in Europe. But Thanksgiving, 1944, presented unique problems. Muller's supply staff had calculated requirements: 500 tons of turkey, 100 tons of cranberry sauce, 50 tons of pumpkin filling. Standard Army rations came freeze-dried or canned. This required refrigerated transport across 200 miles from Normandy beaches to forward positions. The 11th Quartermaster Battalion had been working on the problem for 3 weeks. Captain James Richardson, supply officer for 12th Corps, later recalled the impossible timeline. "We needed to time arrival so turkey stayed frozen but could be cooked on site. Field kitchens could only handle so much volume, and we had to do this while the Army was moving forward daily." Third Army's advance averaged 3 miles per day in November. Units that started planning dinner in one location might be 15 miles forward by serving time. German artillery still ranged on rear areas. Luftwaffe fighters occasionally appeared. Serving hot Thanksgiving dinner to 250,000 soldiers in combat conditions violated everything Muller had learned about logistics. He did it anyway. Oberst Heinrich Meyer commanded Abwehr Intelligence, Section 3B, monitoring Allied radio traffic from observation posts near Metz. His responsibility: track Third Army movements and predict Patton's next offensive. German intelligence respected Patton. Wehrmacht commanders considered him the most dangerous Allied general. Hitler himself had predicted Patton would lead the invasion at Pas de Calais rather than Normandy. German forces watched Third Army more carefully than any other formation. Meyer's intercept station at Saarbrücken had decoded hundreds of Third Army radio transmissions since September. Patton's communication security was notoriously poor. American units talked freely on open channels. German intelligence built detailed understanding of Third Army operations from careless radio discipline. November 23rd intercepts showed something unprecedented. At 1847 hours, Meyer's team decoded a message from Third Army headquarters to all subordinate commands. Operational halt 1200 to 1400 hours November 24th. All units hold positions. No forward movement. Prepare for a special logistics delivery. Meyer read the translation 3 times. American armies didn't halt during combat operations without reason. Third Army had been pushing German forces steadily eastward for 2 months. Sudden pause meant major operation preparing. Intelligence protocols demanded immediate analysis. He called his staff together at 1900 hours. Gentlemen, Third Army is planning something significant for tomorrow afternoon. Complete halt across the entire front. What are your assessments? His operations officer, Major Fritz Schneider, had monitored Allied patterns for 8 months. Patton doesn't stop unless he's preparing breakthrough assault. The halt lets him mass artillery and armor. I estimate major offensive launching November 25th or 26th. His logistics analyst, Hauptmann Werner Klein, noted supply vehicle movements. We've tracked unusual convoy activity from Normandy. Heavy trucks moving forward for 72 hours. Material for sustained offensive. The communications officer, Lieutenant Otto Fischer, added concerning detail. American radio traffic mentions special delivery repeatedly, code term for ammunition resupply before major attack. Meyer synthesized the intelligence. Patton halting for 2 hours, heavy supply convoys, reference to special delivery, pattern-matched preparation for large-scale assault. He drafted urgent report to Wehrmacht High Command. Third Army preparing major offensive. Halt period indicates final logistics preparation. Attack expected within 48-72 hours. Recommend immediate reinforcement Lorraine sector. The report reached General Feldmarschall Gerd von Rundstedt's headquarters at 21:30 hours. Von Rundstedt, commanding German forces in the West, took the warning seriously. He'd fought Patton in North Africa. He knew the Americans' aggressive style. Von Rundstedt issued orders at 2200 hours. All units Lorraine sector to maximum alert status. Prepare for American offensive. Move reserves forward. German forces across the front went to combat readiness. Artillery units ranged their guns. Panzer battalions fueled and armed. Infantry dug deeper defensive positions. Wehrmacht was preparing for massive American attack. Americans were preparing Turkey. November 24, 1944, 0400 hours. Field kitchens across Third Army positions began final preparation. The 11th Quartermaster Battalion had executed the largest single-meal operation in military history. Supply convoys had delivered frozen turkeys to 750 field kitchen locations. Each kitchen served approximately 330 soldiers. Math was precise. 500 tons of turkey distributed to provide every man 1 pound of meat. Staff Sergeant Michael Romano commanded a field kitchen supporting 2nd Battalion, 80th Infantry Division, positioned near Dieu-Loire. His unit had received their turkey allocation at 0200 hours. 340 pounds of frozen bird, 60 pounds of cranberry sauce, 40 pounds of dehydrated mashed potato, 25 pumpkin pies. Romano had cooked in civilian restaurants before the war. Manhattan cafeterias during lunch rush. Nothing compared to this timing pressure. We had 4 hours to thaw, prepare, and cook turkey for 330 hungry soldiers who'd been eating sea rations for 3 weeks, he later wrote. And we had to do it in field conditions with German artillery occasionally dropping shells 2 miles away. His kitchen crew, 6 men, worked assembly line system. 2 handled turkey preparation, 2 prepared sides, 2 managed cooking rotation. Every minute counted. At 0600 hours, 3rd Army Headquarters issued final order. All combat operations cease 1200 hours. Maintain defensive positions. Thanksgiving dinner service 1200 to 1400 hours. Resume normal operations 1400 hours. The message went out on open radio channels, no encryption, standard Third Army communication practice that made German intelligence officers grateful for American carelessness. Oberst Meyer's intercept team decoded it at 0615 hours. All combat operations cease. That confirmed preparation for major assault. American forces consolidating before attack. Meyer updated his assessment. Attack probability increased to 90%. Expect American offensive November 25th, dawn. Wehrmacht commanders reinforced defensive lines. German soldiers who might have rotated to rest stayed in frontline positions. Artillery prepared counter-battery fire plans. Panzer reserves moved closer to contact. At American positions, soldiers received word differently. Private First Class Tommy Chen, 2nd Battalion, 80th Infantry, had been in combat since Normandy. 4 months of fighting. Sea rations and occasional hot stew. When his platoon sergeant announced 2-hour halt for Thanksgiving dinner, reaction was disbelief. "We thought he was joking," Chen recalled. "We're in contact with German positions 800 yards away. They've been shelling our area every afternoon. And we're supposed to stop everything for turkey dinner?" But at 11:45 hours, orders came down company by company. "Pull back to field kitchen positions. 2-hour meal service. Enjoy Thanksgiving." Chen and his squad walked half a mile to the rear. Field kitchen had set up in a partially destroyed barn. Steam rose from cooking pots. Smell of roasting turkey filled the air. "I hadn't realized how much I'd missed that smell," Chen said. 4 months of war. Suddenly we're smelling Thanksgiving like we're back in San Francisco. Romano's kitchen served first plates at exactly 1200 hours. Assembly line process. One man served turkey. Next added mashed potatoes and gravy. Third provided cranberry sauce. Fourth handed out pumpkin pie. Each soldier got regulation portions. 1 pound turkey, half-pound potatoes, quarter-pound cranberry, slice of pie. Coffee available unlimited. Meal designed to fill soldiers who'd been living on 3,000 calories daily from canned rations. "It wasn't fancy," Romano noted. "Field kitchen couldn't do the presentation my civilian restaurant would demand. But it was hot. It was turkey, and these men deserved it." 330 soldiers from 2nd Battalion ate Thanksgiving dinner in shifts over 2 hours. No German artillery fell during the meal period. Soldiers sat on ammunition crates and vehicle hoods. Some wrote letters home, others just savored hot food. Across 3rd Army's 75-mile front, 750 field kitchens replicated the same scene. 250,000 soldiers eating simultaneously. Largest coordinated meal in American military history. German intelligence watched in confusion. At 12:30 hours, German forward observers reported strange activity across American lines. Lieutenant Klaus Weber, positioned in a church steeple near Dieulouard, watched through binoculars as American soldiers moved to rear areas. Not retreat. No urgency. Men walking casually, gathering in groups around smoking field positions. He reported to battalion headquarters. American infantry withdrawing from forward positions. No defensive preparations. Movement appears relaxed. Unusual behavior before major offensive. Similar reports came from observation posts across the front. Americans pulling back, gathering in large groups. Smoke rising from rear areas, not from combat, from cooking fires. At 1300 hours, Oberst Meyer's signals intelligence team intercepted American communications that deepened the mystery. One decoded message between company commanders. Second servings available at Kitchen 3, turkey holding temperature well. Another. Request permission to extend meal period 15 minutes. Men haven't had dessert yet. A third. Inform headquarters cranberry sauce supply exceeded demand. Recommend reducing allocation next year. Meyer stared at the translations. Second servings. Dessert. cranberry sauce allocation. These weren't tactical communications. They were discussing food. His staff struggled to interpret the intelligence within framework of military deception. Americans are using food service codes to mask operational communications, suggested Major Schneider. Second servings means second wave of attack. Dessert refers to reserve formations. Cranberry sauce could be ammunition type. Hauptmann Klein offered different theory. The meal period might be psychological preparation. Americans feed troops heavily before major assault. High morale, physical energy. Lieutenant Fisher noted communication volume. Unusual amount of radio traffic about logistics. Either very sophisticated deception or they're actually organizing a massive meal. Meyer made command decision. Maintain maximum alert. American deception operations are becoming more elaborate. The meal story could be cover for operational security. Expect attack within 24 hours. Wehrmacht forces stayed on high alert throughout the afternoon. Artillery crews remained at guns. Panzer commanders kept engines warm. Infantry held combat positions. At 1400 hours, American forces began returning to frontline positions. German observers reported American troops returning from rear areas. Movement still casual. No increased combat readiness visible. No artillery preparation detected. At 1430 hours, 3rd Army Headquarters issued stand-down order. Thanksgiving service complete. Resume normal operations. All units report status. That message also went out unencrypted. Meyer's team decoded it immediately. Resume normal operations. After 2-hour halt. No attack had materialized. No artillery barrage. No infantry assault. No armor breakthrough. German intelligence had predicted massive American offensive. Wehrmacht had reinforced defensive positions. Artillery had prepared counter-battery fires. Reserves had moved forward. Nothing happened. At 1600 hours, Meyer drafted report to higher headquarters. American operational halt completed without subsequent offensive action. Purpose remains unclear. Possible deception exercise. Recommend continued vigilance. Von Rundstedt's headquarters reviewed the assessment with frustration. They'd repositioned significant forces based on intelligence indicating imminent attack. Attack that never materialized. German commanders faced uncomfortable question. Had Americans conducted elaborate deception operation? Or had they actually halted an entire army for a meal? What Oberst Meyer and German intelligence didn't understand was American military culture. Wehrmacht operated under different assumptions about warfare. German forces emphasized discipline, sacrifice, operational necessity. Comfort was secondary to mission accomplishment. Hot meals were luxury, not expectation. German soldiers in Lorraine sector ate standard Wehrmacht rations, dark bread, sausage, ersatz coffee made from acorns. Occasional hot stew when supply lines permitted. But November 1944 supply situation was deteriorating. Many German units operated on reduced rations. Some frontline infantry received 2,400 calories daily, barely sufficient for combat operations. 3rd Army, by contrast, operated under Patton's philosophy that well-fed soldiers fought better. The 2-hour Thanksgiving halt demonstrated fundamental difference in military logistics philosophy. Patton had convinced Eisenhower and Bradley that morale was weapon. Soldiers who knew their command cared about their welfare fought harder. Hot Thanksgiving dinner wasn't luxury. It was combat multiplier. Statistical analysis later supported Patton's theory. 3rd Army medical reports showed lowest sick call rates in European theater. Better nutrition meant healthier soldiers. Morale surveys indicated highest satisfaction ratings. Soldiers who felt valued by their commanders maintained discipline better. Combat effectiveness metrics told the story clearly. Third Army advanced faster and suffered fewer casualties per mile gained than any other Allied army in France. Some analysts attributed success to Patton's tactical brilliance. Others noted logistics excellence. The truth combined both factors. Patton understood that armies run on logistics as much as tactics. Beans and bullets, hot food and ammunition. Supply consciousness that kept soldiers fighting effectively. German intelligence missed this completely. Wehrmacht analysis assumed American halt indicated operational preparation. German military doctrine didn't include concept of stopping combat operations for morale-building meals. The idea seemed absurd within framework of total war. But November 24th demonstrated American logistical capacity that German forces couldn't match. Third Army had transported 500 tons of turkey across 200 miles while conducting offensive operations. Field kitchens had prepared and served hot meals to 250,000 soldiers in 2 hours. Supply organization had executed largest single-meal operation in military history without disrupting combat readiness. German forces couldn't replicate that capability. Wehrmacht logistics were struggling to provide basic rations. Fuel shortages limited vehicle movement. Artillery ammunition was rationed. The idea of dedicating transportation capacity to luxury meals seemed impossible. American industrial might showed in unexpected ways, not just tanks and aircraft, also refrigerated trucks, field kitchen equipment, supply organization that could feed an army hot turkey while fighting a war. For German intelligence officers analyzing the halt, explanation seemed too simple to believe. Surely Americans wouldn't stop an army for dinner. Must be deception. Must be preparation for attack. The alternative, that Americans had such logistical superiority they could afford 2-hour turkey dinner, was almost more frightening than facing offensive. November 25, 1944. Third Army resumed normal operations. 12th Corps pushed towards Saarbrücken. 20th Corps advanced on Metz. 8th Corps held defensive positions in Ardennes sector. Combat continued as before the Thanksgiving halt. German forces remained on high alert for 48 hours. Artillery conserved ammunition waiting for American assault that never came. Panzer reserves stayed forward. Infantry maintained maximum defensive readiness. At 72 hours post-halt, Wehrmacht commanders began questioning the intelligence assessment. No American attack had materialized. Radio intercepts showed normal Third Army operations. Reconnaissance reports indicated standard tactical movements. Oberst Meyer faced uncomfortable meeting with superior officers. His intelligence assessment had repositioned German forces unnecessarily. Resources had been expended preparing for attack that didn't happen. What was the actual purpose of the American halt? Demanded the division commander. Meyer reviewed all available intelligence. Radio intercepts about turkey and cranberry sauce. Observation reports of soldiers gathering around field kitchens. Communications about dessert and second servings. He reached conclusion that seemed impossible within military framework. Sir, I believe the Americans actually halted their entire army to serve Thanksgiving dinner. Silence in the briefing room. You're telling me, the commander said slowly, that Third Army stopped offensive operations for a meal? That Patton delayed combat for food service? Yes, sir. All available evidence supports that conclusion. The implications disturbed German officers at multiple levels. First, American logistical capacity to execute such operations. Second, American willingness to prioritize morale over continuous combat pressure. Third, cultural difference that made such decision comprehensible within Allied command structure. Wehrmacht couldn't afford similar luxury. German soldiers would continue eating dark bread and sausage while Americans enjoyed turkey dinner. That contrast spoke to larger strategic reality of 1944. America's industrial and logistical superiority was overwhelming. Von Rundstedt's headquarters included the Thanksgiving analysis in their assessment of Allied capabilities. Report noted, American forces demonstrate logistical flexibility that exceeds German capacity. Third Army executed complex supply operation while maintaining combat readiness, indicates significant material advantage. For Third Army soldiers, the Thanksgiving halt became legendary. Private Chen wrote home, "We stopped the war for turkey dinner. Can you believe it? Germans are 800 yards away and we're eating pumpkin pie. Only in Patton's army." Staff Sergeant Romano's kitchen received commendation from division headquarters for exemplary service. His after-action report noted, served 330 soldiers hot Thanksgiving dinner in field conditions. Zero waste. All portions regulated. Mission accomplished. Colonel Muller's quartermaster organization had proven Third Army could execute largest meal service in military history while conducting combat operations. The success validated Patton's insistence on supply excellence. Patton himself never questioned the decision. His diary entry for November 24th read, "Thanksgiving dinner served to all ranks. Morale excellent. Men appreciate that their welfare matters. Good soldiers deserve good food." The 2-hour halt cost Third Army zero tactical advantage. German forces hadn't launched counterattacks. No ground was lost. Combat operations resumed smoothly afterward. But the psychological impact was significant. Third Army soldiers knew their commander valued them enough to halt an army for proper Thanksgiving. That knowledge built loyalty and morale that statistics couldn't measure. The Thanksgiving incident taught both sides unexpected lessons about intelligence analysis. For German intelligence, the episode demonstrated danger of over-interpretation. Meyer's team had applied military framework to evidence that didn't fit military logic. They'd assumed American halt must indicate tactical preparation, because Wehrmacht would only halt for tactical reasons. Cultural assumptions had blinded German analysis. Wehrmacht operated under total war mentality where comfort was sacrificed to necessity. American military culture balanced combat effectiveness with soldier welfare differently. That cultural difference made American decisions incomprehensible within German framework. Post-war analysis of Abwehr intelligence failures included Thanksgiving halt as case study. German intelligence officers had become so focused on tactical deception that they missed simple truth. Americans valued morale enough to stop for turkey dinner. For American intelligence, the incident validated Third Army's communication security approach, or lack thereof. Patton's headquarters deliberately operated with minimal radio encryption. His theory, Germans knowing Third Army positions didn't matter if Third Army could outfight them anyway. Speed and aggression rendered operational security less critical. The Thanksgiving halt proved that theory in an unexpected way. Germans had intercepted clear communications about the halt. They decoded exact timing and extent. But intelligence advantage hadn't helped them because they'd misinterpreted American intentions. Sometimes transparent communication confused enemy more than elaborate deception. Third Army's Thanksgiving dinner fit within larger pattern of American logistics excellence in 1944. The U.S. military transported, fed, and equipped millions of soldiers across 2 oceans while maintaining industrial production at home. American logistics capability exceeded combined Axis powers by orders of magnitude. Wehrmacht commanders increasingly recognized they weren't just fighting Allied armies. They were fighting American industrial capacity. Every battle demonstrated material disparity. German forces conserved ammunition. American artillery fired unlimited ammunition. German tanks waited for fuel. American armor operated with fuel surplus. German soldiers ate reduced rations. American troops enjoyed hot meals. The Thanksgiving halt symbolized that disparity in an unexpected way. Third Army could afford to stop for turkey because American logistics made it possible. Wehrmacht couldn't conceive of similar operation because German supply system was collapsing. By December 1944, German forces in the West faced impossible strategic situation. Allied armies were larger, better equipped, better supplied. American industrial production outpaced German capacity by 5-1 in tanks, 10-1 in aircraft, 20-1 in trucks. Hitler's last gamble, the Ardennes offensive launched December 16th, aimed to split American and British armies before material superiority became overwhelming. The offensive failed partly because Wehrmacht logistics couldn't sustain operations. German forces ran out of fuel advancing through Ardennes. American forces didn't. Third Army's role in defeating Ardennes' offensive demonstrated Patton's logistics excellence. When Eisenhower ordered Third Army to wheel north and relieve Bastogne, Patton executed 90-degree turn of entire army within 72 hours. 9 divisions repositioned, logistics train adjusted, attack launched on schedule. German commanders called it impossible. Third Army did it anyway. The same logistics capability that served Thanksgiving dinner to 250,000 soldiers pivoted an entire army to new axis of advance in 3 days. Beans and bullets. Supply excellence that won battles. Beyond tactical and strategic implications, Thanksgiving 1944 mattered to individual soldiers. For many Third Army soldiers, that turkey dinner was last normal moment before Ardennes crisis. Within 3 weeks, they'd be fighting in worst conditions of the war, freezing weather, German offensive that caught Allied forces by surprise, desperate battles around Bastogne. The Thanksgiving memory sustained them through those difficult weeks. Private Chen survived Ardennes fighting, wounded in January 1945 near Houffalize, recovered and returned to unit. He kept photographs from Thanksgiving, his squad sitting on ammunition crates, eating turkey from mess kits, smiling despite being in combat zone. That picture reminded me what we were fighting for, he said decades later. Not just defeating Germans, fighting for country that cared enough to stop a war for turkey dinner. That meant something. Staff Sergeant Romano continued cooking for 2nd Battalion through end of war. His kitchen served final meal in Germany, May 8, 1945. Victory in Europe. Romano made sure it was hot and substantial, standards maintained to the end. Colonel Mueller received Legion of Merit for logistics excellence. His citation mentioned Thanksgiving operation specifically. Organized and executed largest single meal service in military history while unit was engaged in combat operations. Patton never mentioned Thanksgiving halt in his published writings. For him, it was simply proper care of soldiers. Not remarkable, just duty. But Third Army soldiers remembered. Veterans associations celebrated Thanksgiving for decades afterward. Annual gatherings where old soldiers recalled turkey dinner in France. November 1944, when Patton stopped an army for morale. For German veterans, the incident became example of American material superiority. Former Wehrmacht officers at post-war conferences mentioned it. Americans could afford to halt for dinner. We were rationing bread. That difference told the story of the war. Third Army's Thanksgiving halt influenced American military logistics doctrine. Post-war analysis emphasized morale as combat multiplier. Well-fed soldiers fought more effectively. Hot meals built loyalty. Supply excellence contributed to victory as much as tactical brilliance. Modern U.S. military maintains Patton's emphasis on soldier welfare. Field kitchens deployed to combat zones. Hot meals served whenever possible. Thanksgiving dinner prepared for deployed forces worldwide. The tradition started November 24, 1944, when one general decided Turkey mattered more than continuous combat pressure. German intelligence officers who analyzed the halt later admitted their misinterpretation. In memoirs and interviews, former Abwehr staff acknowledged missing cultural context. They'd applied military logic to decision that transcended military logic. "We couldn't imagine stopping an army for a meal," wrote former Oberst Meyer in 1967. That American commanders could make such decision revealed assumptions we didn't understand. We were fighting different kind of war. That difference extended beyond logistics. American military culture balanced mission accomplishment with soldier welfare. Wehrmacht emphasized sacrifice and duty. Both approaches had merit. But American system produced better sustained combat performance. Soldiers who knew their command valued their welfare maintained morale through extended campaigns. Soldiers who felt expendable fought with less commitment. That psychological reality mattered as much as tactics. Patton understood morale. He also understood logistics. The Thanksgiving halt combined both insights. Stop the war, serve Turkey, build loyalty, resume fighting. 2 hours that confused German intelligence but strengthened American combat effectiveness. November 24, 1944, lasted 2 hours, but impact extended through remainder of war. Third Army soldiers remembered commander who cared enough to stop for Thanksgiving. That memory sustained them through Ardennes fighting, Rhine crossing, drive into Germany. Loyalty built from turkey dinner. German intelligence learned cultural assumptions could blind analysis. Americans operated under different military philosophy. Understanding that difference required more than decoding radio transmissions. American logistics demonstrated capability that German forces couldn't match. Transporting and serving 500 tons of turkey while conducting combat operations showed industrial superiority that decided war, and one general proved supply consciousness wasn't weakness, it was strength. Beans and bullets, hot meals and ammunition. Both mattered, both contributed to victory. Patton halted Third Army for turkey dinner. German intelligence thought it was trap. Actually, it was Thanksgiving. Most American decision imaginable. 250,000 soldiers ate hot turkey. Wehrmacht forces stayed on alert expecting attack. Attack never came. Just dinner, just morale, just care for soldiers who deserved recognition. That 2-hour halt told story of why America won. Not just superior tactics, not just better equipment, also culture that valued soldiers enough to stop war for proper Thanksgiving. Germans couldn't understand it, but they fought against it and ultimately lost to it.